everybody, Iamxshadrach here, and what I'm bringing you today is a video on how to get credits legitimately and fast. Now, first of all, I want to talk a bit about the build of the character and the preferences that I use that work best for me, and honestly most people that do this technique. I like to have at least 3 of us using the Drell, Assassin, Infiltrator. You can get away with having 2, but 3 is preferable. And then you basically want everyone to definitely have infiltrators. I like to spec my infiltrator for duration to rank 4. 1, 2, and 3 on the passive. I like to go full fitness, and the recon mine, that's really the most important part of the character build. You want to go for rank 4 bottom, rank 5 top, and rank 6 bottom. Now what this recon mine does is basically during hacks, during objectives, you can place the recon mine in choke points or areas you want to slow the enemy and debuff the enemy. The most important place is right when you spawn. You want to have the recon mine in the position where the enemies are spawning, and this keeps them from spreading out too fast. It also debuffs them, so if an enemy gets shielded from a rocket, it will help with the extra damage. It will help keeping from enemies from tanking your rockets. And like I said, it slows the enemy down and prevents them from spreading out too fast if you're a little late on shooting your rocket in the rocket position. So, starting with position 1, the first person. First thing you're going to do is you're going to come down the right side here to the lower lab. I like to hop over the wall, and you're going to take cover behind the wall. Now this right here where I shoot my recon mine, I use that as a reference point as to where the impact of your rocket needs to take place. So when they spawn in, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. Now they're going to spawn again. 1, 2, 3. And that's 2. Now there will always be 1, maybe 2 enemies left, and you can clean them up with either detonating your recon mine or just pulling out your primary weapon and shooting them. So that is wave 1. Wave 1, you shoot 2 rockets. Starting on wave 2, you're going to shoot 2 rockets. So I pull out my rocket launcher, they spawn in. That's a 3 count. Kaboom. 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to shoot my second rocket. Kaboom. That cleans up wave 2. Now we're going on wave 3. I'm only going to shoot a rocket on wave 3 if it's targets. I will use 4 rockets, 1 for each target, and then my 5th rocket will clean up the wave, and then I will rotate to the next position. But since it's not targets, I'm going to come over here to help with the objective. We all break to help with the objective, but the most important thing is that we are back in position before the following wave starts. So this is an escort. I like to keep a policy when doing objectives of if you're down for more than 3 or 4 seconds and no one gets you up, you need to get yourself up. Since you're not really using your resources or your supplies for the non-objective waves, this allows you to be a little bit more. You can use your resources. You can use your metagels and stuff. You don't need to be so stingy with them, is what I'm trying to say. So now that the wave is almost over, we've almost got the objective complete. We're going to get to this in a moment, but someone on the team, their job will be to clean up. We'll cover that in the next position. And they're just going to take care of the bigger enemies like the Atlases, the Banshees, stuff like that. And it's the team's responsibility to take care of all the small fries. So we're running around, we're going to clean up all the small fries. As we notice that there's only a couple enemies left, like I said, it's very important. It is key and critical that you are near and in your position before the following wave starts. So it's starting to wind down. There's a couple enemies left. My next position will be directly across the map to my right here. I will be on the second step by the pillars. So as you can see, this is the last target. So I like to call out, is everyone close to their position? Does everyone know where they need to be? So that way there's no mistakes. And here we go. I am going to put my left foot on the second step from the top. So I am in position now. This is my second position on wave 4. And I have my back to the map. I'm looking down the hallway. And that's all I need to worry about. So I'd like to say really quick, if you notice, I'm using the Harrier and the Scorpion. I use the Scorpion for crowd control and to deal with the Phantoms. I use the Harrier because it kills quickly. Ammo really isn't an issue, especially on this map. This map's the ammo boxes are very generous. So that's wave 4. Wave 5 has begun. And we're going to go through wave 5 here. And it's very important, at the end of wave 5, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate back. Since I have 5 rockets left, I'm going to switch back to the rocket position. I would not have switched if I would have had targets on 3, because I wouldn't have any rockets left. So the only time that we switch is if there is no targets on 3, which is pretty much 98% of the time. So we have objectives. We all break to help with the objective. Now, since I have 5 rockets left, it is my job to clean up on wave 6. So no targets on 3, I'm cleaning up on 6. If there's targets on 3, then I am not cleaning up on 6. That is another person's responsibility. So I'm just going to kind of escort this guy here, trying to keep all the small fries from taking him down. As you notice, as we walked by the area there where the rocket position is, I detonated my recon mine, and that staggered the atlases. It's not an important thing to do, but every little detail like that helps with the success and the speed of this strategy. So we've got both deliveries in. The wave is complete, and now I am going to my next and final position, which is on the flower bed here by the spawn. This is actually position 4, but is the 3rd place that I need to be for my specific job. So we're going to kill this last bomber here and get on with the next wave. Alright, wave complete. There we go. Now we're starting the next wave. Wave 8. Now if you notice, I tack cloaked right there. Now what this does is it drops aggro from me, because every so often an enemy will kind of mosey on over from the rocket position, or the impact position, to me, which basically slows down the progression of the round. So if I tack cloak, you can do this in any position if you feel, even the position that you're rocketing in. You want to keep the enemies nice and tight and confined in that little space there. So one more thing really quick. On this position, what I like to do is I like to line up my hip with the corner of the flower bed. If you notice in my peripheral vision, I can barely see underneath the bridge on the left. So what I'm doing here is I'm blocking the spawn. That is the 9th wave that's complete. And if you see where my cursor is with the aimer, it's right at the top of the left handrail. And that's where I like to look. So we have objects again. And so we're going to break and help escort the objects. If we're close to the object, we're going to take initiative and grab the object and try to deliver it. And here he comes. It looks like he went, yep, right there. So immediately I'm just going to sit there and just kind of keep drawing aggro to myself, keeping aggro off him. I detonated my recon mine, just trying to keep them staggered and back and away from the person delivering the package. For deliveries, we like to take the first one through the middle, and then the second one we like to take it up top, as long as they spawn on the lower area like they did on this specific objective. So I'm going to help with cleanup. I have a couple extra rockets there. Usually, if things work out properly, everyone ends up with 1 or 2 rockets, and you can help with cleanups. It's just important, if you're going to help with the cleanup and it's not your job to clean up, that you call it out, so that way you don't double down with rockets, so someone doesn't shoot a rocket at the same time as you. So that is position 1. Now I'm going to talk a bit about extraction. So for position 1, I like to go down to the pillars here, and basically you're going to have 3 people on the pillars here and 1 person up top blocking the spawn. I'll talk about the person who goes up top when the time comes. I'll be in position 2, section of position 2. And you're basically just pushing them back. Use your recon mine to detonate, to keep staggering them back and doing damage. And we're just wasting time here is all we're doing. We have about 1:30 left here on the board to waste. And if you notice, I have a couple of rockets left, so I'm just going to go ahead and shoot those off. If you want to conserve rockets, then you can save them, use them for an emergency if you have any left after doing your rocket position. But I don't know. I go through a lot of rockets. I like to blow stuff up, so I shoot mine off. So we're at almost 1 minute here, and what we're going to do is we're going to basically leave to go to the extraction when there's 15 seconds left on the board. The reason I choose 15 seconds is because if I get staggered or if I get downed along the way or someone else gets downed, it gives me about 6 to 7 seconds where I can gel and get up and keep going, or I can stop to get them up if they're out of meta gels and help them get going so we can have a nice full extraction. Some people like to die out at the end of wave 10 after getting, so they get their money and they go. Personally, I like to finish the waves. I like to play the game. I feel it's redundant enough. It's kind of depressing to me not completing the match, so I always go for a full extraction. So there's 15 seconds, we're up, we're going, and looks like the top is pretty clear except for this dragoon, and here we go, we're all on the extraction. Oh, we have another little straggler there that we take care of, and we're all stacked up on the extraction, and that is position 1. Now position 2. Position 2, you're going to come down here and you're going to put your recon mine right in the middle, and then you're going to basically run right across the middle of the board here to the second step. So the second step is going to be your home for waves 1, 2, and 3. And as you notice, I'm using the Harrier again with a Scorpion. This setup pretty much works for any position. Honestly, whatever you can kill the quickest with. I have friends that like to use the Venom. I have friends that like to use the Piranha Shotgun. I just find that the Harrier is a very versatile weapon and works in all situations, whether it's close, medium, or long range. Anything. I have a lot of friends that like to snipe even on this. If you're a very accurate sniper and you're good with it, then snipe away. So like I said, whatever you can kill the quickest with. Now it's wave 3, which is an objective wave, and I would stay here if it was targets. I would not move, but it's not targets, it's an upload, so I'm going to break with the rest of the team, and we're going to do the hack. Now if you see here, I put my recon mine over there to the right, and we're going to have someone else put their recon mine over to the left. And what this is going to do, it's going to reveal the enemy position, it's going to slow them and debuff them, so that way we know they're coming before they present themselves to us. So we're just going to kill as quickly as we can, try and buy as much time on the hack as we can. We're treating it like a regular match, just trying to get it done as swiftly as possible. Now you can see there on the right, my recon mine has revealed all the enemies that are coming on the right, so we know where to delegate our resources and where to, put the most firepower down. On the left here we have a couple enemies here and there, so I'm kind of taking care of them. Well, my team focuses on where the bulk of the enemies are coming from. And the upload is complete. Now, this is the position. I am responsible for cleaning up on wave 3. So I'm going to spend 2 of my 9 rockets on one on each atlas. Now on occasion the atlases will be together and I can use 1 rocket on 2 atlases. Another thing is this really works good. You need to have armored compartments to make this work properly. I should have covered that at the beginning, but armored compartments can make this much smoother. It's actually critical that you have armored compartments, at least a level 3 armored compartments. So now that's the end of wave 3. I'm going to come back here. My job now on wave 4 and 5 is to be in the rocket position. So I'm in the rocket position here, and looks like we have, yep, there we go, wave 3 is over. I'm ready to go for wave 4, and it's very similar to the previous wave for rocketing, except for this one I'm going to wait for a Banshee scream. There she goes. I'm going to pop up, shoot a rocket. And if you notice, that time she did not scream, she started to walk away. That will happen maybe 1 out of 10 times. So if the Banshee presents herself and she spawns in and she starts to walk away and doesn't scream, just look for her tell. Her tell is that she's walking away. So she's either going to do one of 2 things. She's either going to scream or she's going to start walking. Either way, that is your tell of when you need to shoot your rocket. And 1 more to clean up. You can usually get away with 3 rockets on each one. Sometimes you'll need 1 extra rocket if you make a mistake. Now, I come back here for wave 6 because I only have 2 rockets. Now if there would have been targets on 3, I would have stayed in the rocket position for wave 6. Now it's an escort for wave 6, and we all break to help with the escort. As you notice, I detonated my recon mine there just for a quick stagger. Every little bit, see there we staggered them again. It keeps them from being able to attack us, and the more we do it, the more time we have that we're not being attacked, which all adds up in the long grand scheme of things. Notice how I'm moving from cover to cover, or at least trying to, the best I can. And success. So now we all break, we help with the cleanup. As the cleanup starts to wind down and there's less enemies to kill, you want to make sure that you're close to the next position. For me, the next position is going to be in the upstairs labs, and I'll show you where that is here in a moment. And waves complete. So the third and final position for this person's role is right where I'm shooting there. You're going to stand right there between these 2 slanted pillars, and you're going to look towards the ammo box. And now this is going to be my spot for the remainder of the game. And as you can see, I can see all the enemies. Some people like to put drill rounds on and snipe from this position because you can actually shoot through all of the walls here and hit the enemies in the lower area. If you're bored and you want to do something like that, then feel free. There's no harm, no foul in doing it, and it's entertaining. And there's the last enemy. Wave is complete. Now, I want to talk a little bit about how these waves go sometimes. It's never perfect. It's rarely perfect. There's always going to be little things that you're going to have to improvise and little challenges to tackle along the way. Little things you can do to make it smoother. As you notice here, a Banshee escaped. This isn't very common. Rarely does a Banshee get out of the rocket area. But it happened. I think this usually will happen if your timing is off a little. If an enemy is getting out, then you're usually a little bit late on the delivery of your rocket. So as you can see here, I cleaned up the Banshee really quickly. I had an extra rocket, so it was very easy to deal with, but sometimes things get a little more hectic and they're a little more difficult. If you're ever in a situation where things are out of control and you can't hold your position down, it's good practice just to call break. You know, just say break, and then everyone can break. Everyone knows that the control of the wave is lost, and you need to basically just break and deal with it accordingly, and clean up the wave naturally with your weapons, and not with nuking the enemies in their spawn. So for these hacks, especially the last hack here on wave 10, if anybody has any extra rockets, it's not a bad idea to call out, you know, hey, I have 2 extra rockets, I'm going to use them on the next group of Banshees that comes through, or something along those lines, right? It's very key to communicate with your team if you want this to be successful. The more you communicate, the better it's going to turn out. The better it turns out, the faster the time is. The faster the time is, the more credits you're going to make for the amount of time you put in. So this is a very tight hack, a lot of bombers. It's important to keep moving, keep circling, just don't stay in one place for too long. The longer you stay in one place, the easier you're going to become a target, and the enemies are going to target you and drop you. It is a very difficult hack, like I said. Not everything is easy about these speedruns. It's not something that you can just put the disc in and you just have the game on day one and do this. It takes some building up to be able to do these properly. So like I said, the prerequisite basically is you need to have a little bit of experience. It's good to have a couple guns that you're comfortable with, that you can kill quickly with, and armored compartments, at least armored compartments 3, preferably armored compartments 5, to make this work properly. So we've gotten the hack. We're going to basically clean up the remainder of the enemies, and that's that. It looks like I have one rocket left, so I'm just going to take that Banshee out really quick, and I did call that out. Usually when I call it out, all I say is rocket out on the Banshee on, this in this position or something along those lines. That way no one else will shoot a rocket at the same time, and we don't want to waste rockets in this situation, because every rocket will speed up your time, or fix a mistake at that. So that's the end of the wave. This right here is where I go for the extraction. What I'm doing up here is I'm blocking the spawn. I'm preventing enemies from spawning on the flank of our team. So I'm just going to put my recon mine up here, so that way I can get a little bit more of a heads up if enemies are coming up the stairwell towards me. Now if you see where I'm taking cover here, I've strafed left to right. See this little area right here? You don't want to go any further past the line I'm about to draw with my gun. If you stay behind here, you will block the spawn, and you won't have enemies spawning on your team's flank. So a quick review of this position is 1, 2, and 3 on the second step, 4, 5 in the rocket position, and then 6 back in the second step. If the person in the first position has targets on 3, then you will stay in the rocket position for 6. But if not, you're going to go back to the second step. You clean up at the end of wave 3. You're going to use 2 rockets at the end of wave 3 to clean up. And then basically on wave 7, 8, 9, and 10, you're going to go upstairs between the slanted pillars, and you are going to hold that position until the end of the game, or the end of wave 10. And then for extraction, you're going to come up here behind this one spot that I've shown you, and you're going to block the spawn for your team so they don't get flanked. Now as you see, we're winding down to about 15 seconds now. There's 15, so I'm going to call out to my team, time to go, and I move over to the extraction zone. I'm going to try and make sure it's as clear as possible for my team for when they get here. And looks like we got one more enemy down low. As you guys have noticed, the big bulk of the enemies will be spawning down low. That's position 2. Here's position 3. So first thing I'm going to do in position 3 is I'm going to look down to where the impact point where the rockets are going to hit. I put my recon mine down. Now I'm going to come up here between the slanted pillars. Now this is my home for waves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. As I mentioned before, a lot of people that I do this with, they really like to use a sniper in this position particularly, just because it can get a little boring, a little slow up here. So they'll throw some drill rounds on, and then they'll use a javelin or a Black Widow and just kind of go for some headshots through the wall here. It's a good opportunity to practice your sniping. So now we're at the beginning of wave 2, and I'm staying put because this is my home until wave 3 that will basically be an objective wave. If we have targets, I will always stay put. Every position, if you have targets on either waves 3, 6, or 10, you stay in your spot, you don't move. Looks like we don't have targets, we have an escort, so I am braking immediately to help with the escort. This is a medium escort, one of the faster escorts. It goes usually right under the bridge every so often. Oh, looks like this time it is going up top, which really sucks. But anyways, it's this actually looks like it's going by pretty smoothly, but it can get very hectic when it goes up top here because the enemies spawn so close to it right off the bat. So that went very smoothly, as you see, detonating our recon mines to stagger the enemies to buy us time to get by, and good to go. All I have to do now is just help clean up and make sure that before wave 4 starts, I am back in my position. As you can see, there's not a whole lot of enemies left. Looks like we have a Ravenger up here. So as the wave winds down, I definitely try always to make sure that I'm close to my position or within running distance before the following wave starts. If you do get to your position late or you think you're going to be late, it is a very good practice to pull out your rocket launcher. If you get there and the enemy spawn where you need to be, get in your position and drop a rocket on them and try and force the spawn back to where you want the spawn to be, which is where the person in the rocket position is basically right at, so they can continue on doing their job properly. So one more time, if you're late to your spot, pull out a rocket, because if you notice, usually at the end of the game you usually end up having one, maybe two rockets left, depending on what objectives you get, and just nuke whatever spawns in the spot where you need to be. But first, make sure that you're in that spot, so that way they don't just spawn right back again in front of you. And then that should correct the error that has happened. And it looks like we have a hack for wave 6. Not targets. Again, if it's targets, you're going to stay put. If it's any other objective, you're going to break and help with the objective. So I immediately put my recon mine down over there, slowing the enemy. And we're just going to kill as fast as we can. Keep these guys pushed back. Now, as we start killing the enemies on the left, you'll notice they'll start spawning on the right side here. So it's important to keep that in mind. It's pretty much like that in any situation on this game. You know, if you kill enemies coming from one direction, then they usually spawn on the opposite spawn of where the enemies are that you just killed. As you can see, we're constantly putting new recon mines down and detonating our old ones first. It's an amazing thing, and how effective it is at staggering the enemies. And honestly, it does so much damage too. It's really quite a waste if you're not utilizing your recon mine during these hacks and during these objectives. So we finished the objective on wave 6. Basically just cleaning up the wave right now. And the wave is complete. Now this is where I'm going to be for wave 7, 8, 9, and 10 on the second step, besides these pillars here. And wave 7 has begun. I am in my appropriate spot, and away we go. Now one more thing here. A lot of people like to tack cloak in this position, because a lot of times when the enemies spawn, you can get shot in the back a little bit. If you do get shot in the back, rather than going down, use your survival ops. Use it quickly. It's really important that you don't go down. If you go down and then one of your teammates nukes the spawn, it can basically create a situation where all the enemies will spawn right where you are if you don't get up quick enough. And then the spawns are split and you don't have control of the round anymore, and you need to break to clean it up. See right there, I'm getting shot in the back. So I'm going to start tack cloaking, so that way when they spawn I don't get shot in the back like that. So that is the end of that wave. Now wave 9 is about to begin, and my job is to rotate over here for wave 9. And what I'm waiting for is the Banshee scream again, or to see the Banshees spawn in and start walking away. This wave is going to take 4 rockets to clean up. That's 3 and 4. That's the end of wave 9. Now we're beginning wave 10, which is an objective wave. Once again, I'm only going to shoot a rocket if it's targets. If it's not targets, then we're going to break. It's not targets, so we're breaking. This is the short escort. This is such a blessing. I love this escort. I would say that this is definitely one of the fastest escorts in the game of all the maps. I'm sure there might be one out there that's a little quicker, but this one is pretty darn quick. So as you notice, probably about 7 or 8 seconds it's done. My job now at wave 10 is to clean up. I have 5 rockets remaining because I didn't have targets. I have 5 rockets remaining, so I'm going to wait for the money to show, and I'm going to nuke away. So there's both the Banshees. I have 2 Atlases to worry about also, while my team worries about all the small guys. If you see a group of small guys, it's not bad practice to go ahead and take them out too. Position 4. Now, position 4 is going to be me, consisting of putting my recon mine down here and then coming down to the flower bed right below the spawn. Now, as you see where I'm shooting, this is the corner of the flower bed. You want to line your hip up with that corner, and then you want to look towards the top of the railing on the left hand side of the staircase. This is going to be my home for waves 1 through 6. Now, this position, more so than any other position, it is very important that you tack cloak as much as possible. So the wave is complete, and I'm going to make sure my tack cloak's ready. They spawn in, and then I'm going to tack cloak. It's good practice to break your tack cloak before it breaks itself naturally. That way you have a much quicker recharge time on your tack cloak. As you see, I just shot one bullet to break my tack cloak, and then my recharge time is much quicker rather than letting it drain out completely and then waiting for the full recharge time delay. So wave 3, we have an upload. It's right here right by me, so I'm going to take initiative and start the upload. And I'm putting my recon mine on the left side of the staircase there. Someone else will probably put their recon mine kind of on the right side. You just want to balance your recon mines out so that way they're kind of spread out so they're the most effective. Now we're a little bit more than halfway done with our hack. This is going very smoothly. And we got our money, the credits have shown, and now we can start killing enemies and not having to worry about them spawning in again. And the wave is complete. And now I'm going to line myself up, align my hip with the flower box again, and wave 4 begins. Isn't it amazing how fast these waves go by? I mean, besides the actual objective waves, it is just such a breeze. That's obviously where we're saving all our time. The objective waves are just the same as a regular match. This map is really nice actually because the objectives are so close, which can be good and it can be bad. Responding to the objective is the good point, and how fast the enemies can respond to the objective is the bad point. But here we are on wave 6. It's an upload, so I'm not going to stay put. If it was targets, I would stay put. The upload is right beside me, so I'm on it, pretty much one of the first people on it. And we're going to put our recon mine out, so that way we can slow the enemies down. We keep one on the right side, probably one on the top left side, and if we have a third person with a recon mine, he can put it down in the middle, that middle kind of channel that goes through the middle of the map. That way, no matter where enemies are coming from, they're debuffed, they're slowed, and their position is revealed. As you guys can see, it's not a walk in the park to make this happen. It does take coordination, it does take practice. Every time you do this, it will get just a little bit better. Basically, what I like to do when I'm teaching people that are new is if things go wrong, I always aim for wave 3, so that way we're getting paid for our efforts. And then the next time we'll make it to wave 6, then usually the next time we'll make it to wave 10. Always trying to shoot for wave 6 at the very least, because if you make it to wave 6, you're getting paid as if it's a gold match, and you're still finishing in 7-8 minutes, maybe even 10 if it goes really bad. So worst case scenario, honestly, when we have a really bad match, the match never takes more than 14 or 15 minutes, and that's with people getting in their position late, having bad things happen on a regular basis. So now here goes wave 7. So I'm going to make sure that I'm in my position ready to go for wave 7, which now is the rocket position. We have one last enemy, it looks like, maybe 2, and so we're going to clean that enemy up so that way we continue on to the following wave here. I don't really have a good angle on this bomber, but looks like I might get the kill anyways. Yeah, and I did. So wave 7 begins. Now this is the most difficult wave to rocket. The tell is the phantom across the top of the railing there. You're going to see her just about to jump down. Right when she's about to drop, that's when I like to shoot my rocket. And then you can start a 3 or 4 count after that. See, there she is. She's about to drop down, rocket. There she is. She's about to drop down, rocket. And there she goes again. She drops down. Right there, rocket. So after the first time she drops down, you can start a 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000 rocket count. So that's about 3 to 4 seconds, and you should be alright. Because this position only requires 4 rockets on wave 7 and 3 rockets on wave 8 when done perfectly, that leaves you 2 extra rockets in case your timing is off a little bit to compensate for your off timing. So it's okay if your timing's off a little bit. It's better to be a little bit early than a little bit late. That's the end of wave 8. Now I'm going to rotate to the second step by the pillars for wave 9 and 10. As you saw, I have 2 rockets left, which will come in handy during extraction or if there's a mistake made on wave 10 for our objective. And we have targets, finally. So what he's going to do, I wish it was me showing this, but what he is doing is he is shooting, instead of the slanted pillar, he is shooting the target directly. So he has 5 rockets, 1 for each target, and 1 rocket left to clean up the end of the wave. Now, if you don't have an angle on the target, then shoot the pillar. Well, that's all 4 positions. I hope that this guide helps you guys with doing these runs. If you guys have any questions, or if you're having a hard time, please leave it in the comment box. I'll respond as soon as possible to help you guys get this. Also, remember, this takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of coordination. It's not something you're going to get your first or second try, but as soon as you start getting it, then the rewards are definitely worth it. So anyways, that's the end of that. Thank you to all for your views. Thank you to my subscribers for your support. If you haven't subscribed, I would really appreciate your subscription and your support also. And until next time, take care.